Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is October the 2nd, 2025. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. It's Thursday. It's my favorite day of the week. It was a good day, so we'll take it. Though I will say, bit of sad news, strewn without, but we'll get to that. But overall, we started off good. We got up a bit early. Excuse me, let me clear my throat. Got up a bit early, and I said, okay, well, I'm up about an hour early. Let's go ahead and make some coffee. So that was a nice start to my day. If I'm going to wake up early, at least I get some coffee to balance out. And, overall, the morning went well. We got to work on time in a timely manner. And overall, work was good. It was another slow day. But at some point, it was actually towards the end of my day, like on my very last break, where things started coming together where I realized, oh, the vibe's off. And it's hard for me, I guess, because I'm downstairs by myself in a dumpster, in a trash compactor. And, so I don't really, get, all the news, all the gossip, whatever's going on. But I heard from someone upstairs who, comes down to help out. He was kind of saying like, oh, yeah, I'd rather be down here than up there today. That's for sure. But I kind of just took that as like, yeah, it's maybe really busy upstairs or something's going on, yada, yada, yada. And you just would rather chill down here. Totally get that. Didn't think much of it. And then I was in the break room and someone came up to me and was like, oh, they had like a long face. And I was just so confused. And I was like, well, what's going on? And then I started hearing the news. Essentially, someone at our job had passed away the other day. So that is obviously very unfortunate. It is a person I know, or knew, I should say. RIP Tyrone. But yeah, very sad. I think it's one of those situations where this is a person that everybody knew. He talked to everybody, and generally very upbeat guy. So just finding out that one day he's here and then the next day he's not, I think it's just one of those things that can be very jarring, very upsetting. And then it actually had me thinking, because I was talking to my coworkers, it's not the first person we've had pass away at the warehouse, which I mean makes sense for as long as this, our warehouse has been a thing, and with the amount of people that do come through and either stay for a long time or in and out, whatever. So just one of those days where he goes, oh, I think it just hit a lot of people, and people were really feeling it and processing it because they had just found out. So, that was obviously very sad, very somber. But yeah, after work, I took the coworker back to their house. So that was good. Another successful, Uber ride, I guess you could say. A little bit of my side job, for the week. We didn't go and stop halfway at the house. So that was a W. We went straight to the gym. And overall, the gym was a good session. Nothing too crazy, nothing too weird, not too busy. So we like that. Overall, a good day for me. So that's been more or less the day in and of itself. But this had me thinking, and I hadn't made much time. I did want to mention that Jane Goodall had passed away. Let me get the exact date here. Jane Goodall passed away, yes, October 1st. So this was actually literally yesterday. Let's see. Obviously, an amazing individual, conservationist. I think, yeah, she was the first person, or one of the first people to record seeing chimpanzees with working with tools. So that was pretty cool. I think it was chimpanzees. I might be getting that wrong. I'd be getting monkeys and a primate, but you know what I'm saying. So and just a very warm, caring person. Cared not just about animals, but also just the environment, the world in general, people in general. Was an amazing activist. I think she literally died while on tour, like promoting, I believe I can't believe it was a book or documentary. Obviously, I'm not doing too good here giving her flowers, but I did want to mention her passing away. And then while we're on the topic of death, last month, I believe on the 16th, Robert Redford passed away. And I was meaning to talk about that on the week it happened, but we just got bogged down and I didn't get a chance to really mention it. But that was an actor that was in his own way, specifically near and dear to me. One of my dad's favorite movies was Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. And so Paul Newman, Robert Redford were definitely big in the house. I saw that movie a good amount. Also The Sting, also a really good movie. But yeah, I mean, obviously I'm not the one to give a good rundown on either of these individuals, but I know they had a really big impact on people's lives. And, so that's just one of those things you got to talk about. You got to go through. I think to a certain extent, I like to just keep my head down and not talk about this stuff. And I know for like the pod, it can kind of be, a bit of a buzzkill, but it's definitely worth mentioning. And I know with Jane Goodall, actually, I'm just going to go ahead because I feel like I definitely botched this. I'm going to read a quick overview, at least a little bit here from the old wiki. Yeah. Dame Jane Morris Goodall is a British primatologist, I'm totally fucking this up. Etholologist and anthropologist who's known for her 60 years of studying chimpanzees in Tanzania's Gombe Stream National Park. Her research began in 1960, made groundbreaking discoveries about chimpanzee behavior, and then including their use of tools, stuff like that. So, definitely just wanted to give her a mention, give her flowers. And then, so yeah, let's go ahead, I guess on that note, let's go ahead and do our startup, and then we'll go ahead and get into some news. Okie dokie. From the Associated Press. Man kills two in car ramming and stabbing attack at English synagogue on Jewish holy day. An assailant drove a car into people outside a synagogue Thursday in northern England and began stabbing them, killing two and seriously hurting at least three in what police called a terrorist attack on the holiest day of the Jewish year. Officers shot and killed the suspect at the synagogue in Manchester, police said, though authorities took some time to confirm he was dead because he was wearing a vest that made it appear as if he had explosives. Police later said he did not have a bomb. The Metropolitan Police Force in London, which leads the nation's counterterrorism policing operations, declared the rampage a terrorist attack. Authorities said the man believed responsible was a 35-year-old British citizen of Syrian descent named Jihad al-Shami, who entered the UK as a young child and became a citizen in 2006. An initial check of records showed he was not part of a UK counter-terror program that tries to identify people at risk of being radicalized. Police also said 3 people were arrested on suspicion of acts of terrorism. They are 2 men in their 30s and a woman in her 60s. Authorities were working to formally identify the dead and determine the motive for the attack. At least 3 people were hospitalized in serious condition, officials said. 1 person sustained a stab wound, while a second was struck by the car involved in the attack. A 3rd person arrived at a hospital with an injury that may have been sustained as officers stopped the attacker. Earlier, police said a 4th individual had also been hurt. The assault took place as police gathered at an Orthodox synagogue in an outer neighborhood of Manchester on Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement and the most solemn day in the Jewish calendar. Police said the 2 people killed were Jewish. Then there's some quotes from Keir Starmer. And then also, I mean, I kind of feel a bit ghastly quote from Benjamin Netanyahu, more or less saying, I told you so, for essentially validating Palestine as if like they're being soft on terrorism. So this is what happens type of vibe. So amazing timing from him. Obviously, this is an unfortunate situation. Good that they were able to stop the person. But obviously unfortunate that there was any loss of life and people were hurt in this kind of situation. So my condolences goes out to all those involved in it. But yeah, I mean, we gotta start off with a hard story sometimes. And it sucks too because we know that, not just here, stories like this are on the rise. You have these kind of hate crimes, these acts of, terrorism, and it's not like we're going to be able to just go, okay, that was the last one, that was a big one, and we're done now. Like, no, it's you, sadly, that there's going to be more of it. But like I said, we just talk about them when they happen, and we hope that, I don't know, we can get to a better place and a better world. I don't know, man. I'm just a guy who's here to yap, so I don't know really how. But I definitely know perpetuating hate, pushing violence is just not going to be the way, Inevitably, that's just going to keep cycling and cycling and cycling. So I feel like for me, it's just the best human stance to be like, man, this shit's gotta fucking stop. Like, there's no way to validate that. There's no way to make that fucking shit make sense, man. Like, you're not gonna be able to just sit me down and make that make any fucking sense, man. So, yeah. Let's move on to the next story from NBC News. Norovirus outbreak on Royal Caribbean cruise sickens nearly 100 people aboard. Nearly 100 people aboard a 13-day Royal Caribbean cruise have reportedly fallen ill from norovirus ahead of its final destination in Miami. The Centers for Disease Control, or the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reported. The outbreak on the Royal Caribbean international ship Serenade of the Seas, that's a mouthful, which departed from San Diego on September 19th and is scheduled to arrive in Miami. I don't know why I said that so weird. Miami on Thursday, was reported to the CDC's vessel sanitation program on Sunday. The program is set to help prevent and control the introduction and spread of gastrointestinal illness on cruise ships. The CDC reported that as of Wednesday, 94 out of 1,874 passengers and 4 of the 883 crew members have reported being ill during the voyage, and noted that predominant symptoms included diarrhea and vomiting. In response to the outbreak, the crew has increased cleaning and disinfection procedures, collected stool specimens from passengers with gastrointestinal illnesses for testing, and isolated ill passengers and crew members, according to the CDC. Norovirus is a common, highly contagious illness that can cause diarrhea, vomiting, nausea, and stomach pain, typically occurring 12 to 48 hours after exposure to the virus. People can contract norovirus through contaminated objects, surfaces, food, or liquids, as well as by sharing meals or utensils with someone who has the illness. There have been 19 gastrointestinal outbreaks on cruise ships this year, 14 of which were caused by norovirus, as recorded by the CDC. I feel like there was at least maybe a year or two ago. I know I always just vaguely say that for stories like this, but like, I know we covered a norovirus outbreak on a ship before. It's not our first fucking rodeo with this. Obviously, that just seems like such a fucking buzzkill. And y'all know my general vibe. My longtime listeners know how I feel about cruises. I'm anti-cruise. Like, by all means, this is not me yucking your yum. If you're a cruise head, by all means, you're a cruise maximalist. There's a coworker I have that literally tells me like one of their fantasies is just like him and his wife just going on almost like infinite cruises, like multiple cruises every year. They would love to retire on a cruise, and it's just like, that's so much money, and you're literally going to be on a boat, like, That's just not me. It could not be me. But granted, I've never been on a cruise, and I'm putting my foot down. You're not catching me on one anytime soon. I've been bullied. I've been debated. I say no every time. There's just no way. And you have to pay money for that. Like, I'm sorry. Like, one, we already got to worry about norovirus, so that's a fear. Getting sick on a cruise, which I get sick a lot, just whenever I travel, usually. So I don't like that. No thanks. Two, the food. Everyone tries to hype up the food because they know I'm a fatty. They know I'm an eater. But I'm like, this food never sounds good. Anytime I hear it, like, I'm always like, ew. It seems like the worst burger, the worst insert meal here that I could get. But it's like you can just get so much of it. I'm supposed to like it because of the quantity. Like, once again, you're speaking my language, but I know I don't want it. I'm okay. It's a no for me. And I've been very vindicated this week because one of my friends is on a cruise, and they're posting it. Like, they're posting the snaps and everything. And they're doing me this service. I mean, they're not doing this specifically for me. I just appreciate it. But they are rating the food that they get every time, like, out of 10. And I'm just seeing the lowest bars. And I'm just like, wow. And this is a person with a similar palate to me, I feel like, in the ballpark. So it's like, okay, like, they're generally down to eat a lot of food. They're generally down to eat, like, a lot of different options. They're open-minded. And they're sitting down to eat this food. And they're like, nah, like, this is, like, worse than Chili's type beat. So that's saying a lot to me. It's confirming a lot for me. Obviously, though, back to the matter at hand, back to the Royal Caribbean at sea, so to speak. Hopefully people are getting through. Hopefully you're not getting that doo-doo ass fucking norovirus and the rest of your cruise is hunky-dory. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully this whole protocol program that they're instituting is going to keep this shit at bay, and people aren't going to keep getting sick. So, yeah, I mean, if you don't know about my view on cruises, now you know. Anyway, moving on from the BBC. Members of a self-styled African... run that back from the top. Members of a self-styled African tribe have been evicted from their camp on council-owned land in the Scottish borders. The three people who call themselves the Kingdom of Kubala have been staying in the wooded area near Jedburgh. Jedburgh? We're going to say Jedburgh. Never been there. The tribe streamed the eviction live on TikTok on Thursday morning. It showed a man and a woman being led from the camp by uniformed officers. The group had previously said they were reclaiming land that was stolen from their ancestors 400 years ago and refused to recognize the powers of the courts to evict them. A convoy of police, sheriff's officers, and immigration enforcement officials moved into the camp at about 8 o'clock. A police cordon had been in place since the early hours. Drone footage showed a long line of uniformed officers entering the camp before the detention of two members of the group were streamed on the social media feed. Kofi Ofe, 36, a Ghanaian who describes himself as King Anthony, or Atini, I'm sure I'm fucking that up, and handmaiden Kura Taylor from Texas were handcuffed by immigration officers. It's understood they have been arrested on suspicion of immigration offenses. Jean Gasho, 43, who was originally from Zimbabwe and calls herself Queen Nadi, left with her head covered, lying low in the back of a pickup truck. The cordon was lifted at about 10 when journalists were allowed back in the woodland. Council workmen, also it's AM for both of those, it's got to be. Council workmen could be seen dismantling the camp and throwing bags of blankets, clothes, food, and drink into the back of a refuse lorry. Mr. Ofe and Miss Gasho first arrived in Jedburgh in the spring, and they set up camp above the town. They were later joined by Miss Taylor, who calls herself Asnat. The group have a large online presence with more than 100,000 followers on TikTok. My bad. Must be nice. And Facebook. I wonder if that's combined. Maybe it's combined. Still, very impressive. At least in my fucking small bean ass. And have received worldwide media attention. On Wednesday, they were banned from moving back to private land they had already been evicted from at a hearing at Selkirk Sheriff Court. Last week, the court granted an order banning them from any council land in the area, including where they had been staying. Jedburgh and District Councilor Scott Hamilton said he was very much relieved by the eviction. It has been a long effort by local council, police, and other services to achieve this outcome. It is it is the absolute right outcome today. The locals have had to put up with a great deal with this, which I don't. What is this great deal? It's three people hanging out in a camp in like a wooded area. Like, I understand here at the end of the day, you're not standing on a legal precedent to be here, or precedent. I fuck that word up all the time. But like, I understand that you don't have the legal grounds to be here. This high key does kind of have like a bit of a sovereign citizen taste to it. I understand that, but there's been such a media kerfuffle about this, and maybe it's just because of all of the shit that they've kind of had to go through, getting kicked off of one, piece of land, going to another, having to contest over that. So it's gotten all the fucking, NIMBYs riled up or whatever. But this does seem like a bit of a hullabaloo. I don't see why you need all of these fucking officers to once again handle three people. I don't get how you're in such an uproar, in such a tizzy. This seems like, once again, you could just have like a couple of guys handle this shit. I feel like the couple of dudes from Hot Fuzz could just get this done. But I don't know, man. I get how this makes the news, especially once again, they do have a media presence and all that. And like I said, I also understand too, where it's like, hey, you don't really have the legalities to stand on. I fuck with your vibe. I get it. You're tracing this shit back, and you're taking your bit back. That's what you're trying to do here. But we all kind of know how the story goes, right? So, let's see. Is there anything else I really wanted to pluck from the story? No, I think we're good. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is the end of the road of the kingdom of Kubala. We might be hearing more about it in the future. Time will tell. All right, but let's see here. I think I have one more story that I wanted to cover. Sorry, it was a bit of an audible getting this in. I'm trying to clip some things. Okay, there we go. We are ready. Let's take our last break, and then we got to cover some FDA related things, Trump related things. But hopefully we won't be too long. Sorry, it's last break time. Okay. Whew. From the Associated Press. FDA approves another generic abortion pill, prompting outrage from conservatives. Once again, the hoes are mad. The hoes are winning, but they're still fucking mad. Well, let's dive in. Federal officials have approved another generic version of the abortion pill mifepristone, a regulatory formality that quickly triggered pushback from anti-abortion groups and politicians aligned with the Trump administration. Drug maker Avita Solutions announced on its website that the Food and Drug Administration signed off on its low-cost form of the pill, which is approved to end pregnancies through 10 weeks. So yeah, people are really upset about this. They are mad at and I like how they do this thing now, where you would think that once Trump got back into power, that we have won. We've beaten the deep state. The light has been shown, it shines brightly, and there's no secrets, no darkness. I mean, the files, the files, they haven't been fully released. We haven't fully, gone through the whole tranche. Little by little, he's working on it, I guess. Kash Patel, he's on it too. But essentially, I would think that this deep state that you speak of, that is trying to harm our children and keep America in the dark and corrupted and blah 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 blah, and being against God, like, wouldn't Trump have just eliminated this? Are you saying he can't do it? It's just, once again, it goes back to my motif of like, this is sore winner fucking behavior. You have the Supreme Court on your side. Roe v. Wade has been gone, and we are essentially fighting over just scraps of being able to just have your rights, your autonomy as a woman here. And I'm like, no. We really got to make sure that you can't do this in any way, shape, or form. You cannot have any kind of abortion. We don't want it to happen. We don't want to know that it is even a possibility. I feel like that is the side of conservatives on this shit, and they will not stop. Like, it is a zero-sum thing for them. Like, until you cannot get an abortion, like, the only way is is the unsavory ways. You know what I mean? Like, there's going to be no clean, ethical, safe way to do it. No, we don't want that, because that's against God. That's evil. That's bad. We want children to live. We want them to have a chance at life. Motherfucker, they are not there yet. They are a concept, and we are essentially saying, bloop, cancel concept. I just swallowed this pill. It's over now. But no. Whoa. It's a whole fucking, Bible book process, I guess, man. So yeah, people are mad. I kind of just want to get into riff mode, but we'll read a bit. The criticism comes as Republican President Donald Trump's top health officials, including Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., face growing pressure from abortion opponents to reevaluate mifepristone, which was approved 25 years ago and has repeatedly been deemed safe and effective by FDA scientists. In a letter to Republican attorneys general last month, Kennedy and FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty Makary pledged to conduct a full review of the drug safety. So essentially they're like, oh, well, we're on it. We're definitely looking at this mifepristone, and we're going to see if there's anything wrong with it. And who knows? Maybe they're going to try to find some kind of weird bank shot and say, well, actually, this is not safe. We think this is not okay. And they try to go at that way. But once again, we already know that mifepristone is already being battled over. I think whenever you hear about a story of a drug getting, to a point where you now have a generic version, that's generally good, because that makes it more accessible. It makes it cheaper for people to get. So I am happy about that news. The general top line of this shit, I'm fucking rocking with. But it just sucks that this is just, once again, another thing that motherfuckers are gonna moan about. They're gonna cry about, and they're gonna fight about, man. And like, let's say they get this complete absolute shutout win on it. They move on to the next thing. Like, I've already heard motherfuckers talking about birth control. Like, let's get that off the table, because that's also against God. Like, we need to get further into your bodies and what you do with them and control that shit. We need to regulate that in this free country of ours. Like once again, it is the constant merging of church and state that should just, in my opinion, should be so abhorrent. It should make you really fucking disgusted to see, right? Because once again, we point the finger at so many other countries when they do it. That's a theocracy. Da 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 da. Blah blah blah. Like, we hate the Taliban. We talk so much shit about that, right? But yet, we're trying to do that all the time here in America. Yay evangelism, like yay Catholicism. Like, motherfuckers really are trying to do everything in their power to just get, once again, this absolute full out win for God. I don't know, man. It rattles my mind. It fucking grosses me out. But anyway, that is all I really have to yap about for today. But as I close out, a bit of a last minute, I guess, announcement I guess I should make. But I am not going to be, this feels weird to say, I'm not going to be, excuse me, I'm going to burp, something, I'm not getting emotional. See, it was a real burp. I'm not going to be putting an episode up tomorrow. So if you are listening to this as I hope, as I intend, I'm going to be taking an actual day off, which feels weird. And, I'll get into maybe a little bit more about it and just obviously do a full day, like, recap and all that. You won't be missing too much, never too much. But the way my schedule's going to be, I think from now, potentially even till December, seeing how it goes, my weekends are going to be different. So I have to be a little bit more adaptable. And I'm going to be making some changes, I think, to just maybe my Friday, what I do, But we'll see. It might not be every Friday. I still got to work out the kinks, see how this feels. But yeah, as of recording, as of now, we are taking a day off, certified. So, like I said, feels weird. Feels weird to say, to skip a day. And I don't know, maybe I'll try to make it up in some way, shape, or form with a double episode. But I also don't want to press myself to that. You know, I do my best, y'all. Y'all know I do. But I think I need to maybe not spin my wheels as hard as I do. And also this, I'm saying this too, I'm going to be taking a day off of working out. Clutching, like, I don't like it. And, but I also know that I need to take this time sometimes to do the things, other things I want to do and make things work. You know, you got to make personal compromise. It sucks. Being an adult sucks, but you know, but once again, I did want to give condolences, up at the top, once again to Tyrone. You know, rest in peace. But yes, that's all I have for today. I don't even feel like shilling. We'll do that another day. But thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love you. Bye-bye. Mwah.